So I like to think about the topic we're talking about today as almost like a sequel to the Deaf Noodles topic, which I've got to say is personally in my Hall of Fame of YouTube topics. The storyline was great, the characters were perfect, you know, like the awkward, unfunny comedian who opens up a comedy club, like, you couldn't get more perfect. And like I said, I feel like we have a sequel here, except this is one of them sequels where, like, they change all the cast and it just doesn't feel the same anymore. Home Alone 3. That's right, this is the Home Alone 3 of the TikTok drama world. Right, sorry to interrupt, but I am just currently editing this video, and since I mentioned Deaf Noodles, I thought, you know what, let's actually check out his channel and see what he's been up to, and I'm slightly confused. I mean, at first glance of his channel, we can see that his content has slightly changed. We've got some interesting titles, such as Sucking Dick is Good, Shit Thoughts, and quite simply put, peeing. Yeah, well, at least it's still probably better than the comedy club, I guess. But yeah, let's go ahead and add some context. So there's two people you need to be aware of here. We have KatieKComedy, who will be playing Deaf Noodles in a situation. And then we also have Dyon Brooks, also known as mojobrookzz, who will be playing, everybody else who didn't find Deaf Noodles funny. So yeah, if we look at Katie's TikTok account, it is clear that she is an aspiring comedian. She uploads like little funny videos about certain topics. And actually, I was just made aware of Katie a few days ago, just before this situation happened. And that's because I watched pretty much every single video about the World Cruise before I uploaded my previous video. And it just so happens that Katie's uploaded some videos about the World Cruise.
I probably should have led with this, but they ran out of Diet Coke for at least a week. I probably should have led with this, but they ran out of Diet Coke for a week.
And yeah, the videos were fine. They weren't really my cup of tea, but she wasn't harming anyone. I obviously was never going to talk about Katie in a video up until yesterday. Because Katie then went and uploaded this video that now has over 4 million views, where she calls out another comedian.
Okay, I'm not gonna name the comic and I'm not gonna name the club, but I am gonna tell you something egregious that happened to me last night at a show. I'm a stand-up comedian, and I was booked to be the opening act for a bigger comic. And by bigger, I mean has a giant following. It remains to be seen if he's more talented. Anyways.
Okay, so she opens it up pretty passive-aggressive. She mentions that she's a stand-up comedian. And I think you'll start seeing some of the comparisons between her and Deaf Noodles shortly. Like, a portion of this is Katie just finding herself funnier than most people do, which again, Deaf Noodles.
And this comic actually didn't arrive in time for his show. So I Googled him to get his intro facts, and made sure I had his name correct and was hyping up the audience. I had a great set. I did not bomb. I'm a self-aware person. I've been doing stand-up for over 8 years. So if I bombed, I think I would know.
Yeah, I mean, we do have footage of the gig that we will show later on in the video, and judging off that, even though I'm not really like the Simon Cowell of the comedy world, right, I don't have much of a right to judge, but what I can judge is volume of laughter. And it was minimal. But she did mention a lot of facts there that are kind of important to the situation, right? She says that this comedian that she hasn't named yet was late. Also, she says that she did a bunch of research on him to give him a good intro before he came on stage. And she obviously says that she did well on stage.
He comes out, doesn't look me in the eye, doesn't shake my hand, and starts ripping me to shreds, saying, I'm so sorry that she was on this show. You didn't rock up to the wrong building. I'm sorry if you wanted a refund. She doesn't belong here. She doesn't fit in. I don't know why someone booked a substitute teacher. She should have brought ratchet shit. I don't really even know what that is supposed to mean, because that's not authentic or genuine to me. And I'm not going to try to pander to an audience just because we come from different backgrounds. I'm going to find the common ground of what everyone can laugh at regardless of their background. And that's what I did.
Okay, again, a lot of points that are important here, and if you did just watch Katie's video, you would be right to come away from it and being like, oh, why was this guy just being such a dick to her? Like, she really made it seem as if he went on stage and just ripped into her. Wasn't even saying jokes, was just insulting her at this point. Which, as we'll see later on, isn't entirely true. He does make a few jokes about Katie, but they're nowhere near as harsh and insulting as what's just making it seem.
And then he spent the first 5 to 10 minutes of his set ripping to shreds that I didn't belong in the same building as him with his audience.
And again, that in itself is a big exaggeration. We're obviously going to show the footage later on, but 5 to 10 minutes is very different to what happened.
So I left. I told the club what happened, and I left. And they closed out the show however he saw fit.
And that's how the video ends. And even though she didn't name the comedian, it was pretty easy to figure out who the comedian is. People found out very easily. Because she literally opened up his show. Obviously, the crowd will know exactly who she was talking about. And if people Googled, I'm sure they could have found out who. And they did. And the person she was talking about is Dyon Brooks. And obviously, he started getting a bit of hate on his videos. And it's at this point he decided to respond, not just by talking, but actually showing proof.
Just want to finally go ahead and address what this comedian has said I've done to her after she opened up for me in San Diego on Thursday. Just to dig right into it, she said I was late. I was not. The show was scheduled to start at 7, but because it was sold out, they wanted everybody to get in the building, so they pushed the time back to 7:30. Before she was even on stage, I was in the building. I was in the green room. I was on live.
Okay, so a theme of this video is that he shows a bunch of messages as he's talking here. This message is from someone basically confirming that he wasn't late. Obviously, we don't know who this person is, so it's not the most proof in the world. But what is good proof is that Dyon Brooks was actually live at the show whilst Katie was on stage. He does live streams on TikTok or Instagram, and he was live whilst Katie was on stage, and a lot of people have brought this up. I mean, here's one of the top comments on Katie's video saying, I was watching him on live while you were on stage. So if that is true, it does seem like that might be one lie so far.
She even went on to say that she had a perfectly great set and that she brought me up on stage to good energy, high energy in the room. Y'all, this was a sold out crowd. A sold out crowd of people who bought tickets to come and see me. This was the energy that I came up to. Or should I point this way? Either way, just the energy.
My hand and woo, ready? Woo! All right, we have amazing energy. You guys have been very fun.
So yeah, this is where we start getting footage of Katie's set, and we do have more footage even after this video was posted. And if you're like me, and you get secondhand embarrassment watching people try to be funny and no one's laughing, you might struggle through this. But at the end of the day, I can imagine that pretty much every comedian will have sets where they bomb, especially when they're first starting. So this in itself is not a crime. No one would make a video about this if it was just this. But when you then go onto TikTok in front of 4 million people and start bashing this guy's name, and then also saying that you had a really good set and you had no reason to make jokes and whatnot, it's not really a good look, is it?
Information about who I am, and the only thing that she was able to come up with was he blew up on social media. And then, y'all, this was the part. This is how she got my crowd up there. She said, let's get buck wild.
He blew the fuck up all over online. Are you ready? Woo! All right, I need you to give it up right now. Get buck wild for Mojo Brooks.
For those that don't know, telling a room full of black people to get buck wild is insane. That's crazy. That's crazy work. And I let it slide. Because I was more worried about that they didn't even get buck wild. They didn't get loud. They didn't get nothing. Like, sometimes you gotta do the shit yourself.
Okay, so a couple more points. Katie says that she did research to give him an introduction, then just says that he blew up on social media, which if you look at his TikTok account and you see that he's got a lot of followers is pretty obvious. Which again, it's fair enough. If that's your introduction, that's your introduction. But don't then go in a video and say, oh, I researched him to give him a really good introduction, if you didn't. And then I'll be honest, I didn't understand the second part at first, I didn't understand what that meant, and then I googled it and I found out exactly why that would be the wrong thing to say in that room. Now I assume and hope that that isn't the reason why she said that in the first place. She makes videos saying that that's just a saying that she says in her area.
I went to University of Arkansas. We went hog wild, buck wild. I've said that at hundreds of shows.
I've never heard the saying before, but I mean, let me know in the comments if you have.
I need to hear that substitute teacher come up here and bring to the stage. She told y'all ass to get buck wild. Hell no, we gotta redo that. San Diego, if y'all ready for your hair, let me say hell yeah.
So yeah, he then goes on to redo his introduction. It's funny, but as you can see by the jokes that he made about like the substitute teacher and stuff, it's not really that insulting. He made jokes about another comedian. You'd think if anyone could take jokes, it probably would be a comedian. Could it leave a bit of a bad taste in your mouth? Absolutely, I get that. But then to go onto TikTok in front of 4 million people and bash the guy's name and basically just call him a dick in front of everybody. Yes, you didn't mention his name, but it's very obvious that you can easily find out what his name is. It seems a bit much.
Now y'all give it up for that opening comic y'all saying.
So yeah, he tells a couple of jokes and then says, give it up for the opening act. He leaves it on a bit of a nice note. Now at this point you might assume that the situation would die down, you know? Maybe they speak like adults, realise it's not really that deep, and they leave it, and they stop speaking about each other. Now, of course, with the tone of my voice, you know that's definitely not true. In fact, Katie makes a follow-up video doubling down on everything.
Somehow, a video that I posted on my own page about my own experience with disrespect and unprofessionalism from an unnamed comic at an unnamed club went crazy and devolved into a situation where people are now bringing my skin color and my gender into it. What? How did that happen, TikTok? What are you doing?
Well, I can tell you the reason why people are responding to the video not too well, and that's because you posted the video publicly to bash another person, and then when that person responded, it turns out what you said wasn't entirely true. You know, people usually have a problem with stuff like that. So yes, it was on your TikTok account, but you were speaking about another person, so don't really get the point.
If you want to believe that he posted everything that happened and not just clips to make himself look a certain way, then also, okay, got it. If you want to use the fact that I was hyping up the crowd, saying, get loud right now, give a warm welcome, go buck wild for your next comic. Okay, I'm from Arkansas. I went to University of Arkansas. We went hog wild, buck wild. I've said that at hundreds of shows. But sure, make a judgment call on my character based on that.
But the thing is, I don't think he said that in a way to diminish your character. I think he was just pointing out the other meaning of the word and then adding the context that you were already doing not so great on stage. And then you went and said that, which landed up perfectly for him to make jokes about it on stage. He's not trying to cancel you. That's the way I took it anyways. It didn't seem like he was being that overly serious about it. He was just making jokes and talking about the irony.
Apologies are for people that did something wrong. So I'd like to talk about something much more important that happened today, which is that I ordered fake bangs.
Okay, right, so this is where we get into the comedy, because, you know, people thought she might apologise and it's going to be one of them classic videos, but then she goes on to talk about her hair. It's hilarious. So yeah, she clearly doesn't think she'd done anything wrong, to which Dyon Brooks makes a follow-up video, because as we just heard from Katie, she says that Dyon Brooks edited the video in a certain way to make it look like she wasn't doing too good on stage, and he wants to set the record straight.
I'm just happy to be here. It's been kind of a rough week. I had a birthday. Thank you. Thank you. But it was the one where I had to renew my license, and I got bullied at the DMV. You guys seem nice, so thank God, but like, I can't take much more this week. I went in and first they say, do you want to be an organ donor? And I clicked yes, because I'm an amazing person. But then it popped up, do you also want to donate $2 to the Organ Society? Are you fucking kidding me? You want $2 more from me? Is the promise of harvesting my fresh brain, heart, stomach, and spleen not enough for you? Now you get none of me. I almost unchecked the organ donor box.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I struggle watching this type of stuff. I think if you remember my reaction to the Deaf Noodle stuff, you will already know that.
Are you from Detroit?
Take a guess.
No.
Oh my god, right, yeah, I'm stopping this, right, I can't watch anymore. I physically can't watch any further. But yeah, look, she went out and did an opening for a comic. People clearly weren't into it. The room was a bit of a low energy. And then the main comic comes on stage and he has to hype up the crowd in a way. And yes, he made some jokes about you, but again, you're a comedian, so is it really that deep? I don't feel like it has to be that deep. I would imagine every comedian has bombed before in their life. It's probably something that happened to every single one of them. Doesn't have to be that deep, but the fact that you went to TikTok to try and talk shit about this guy, knowing fine well that people could figure out who it is. Yeah, that's definitely not the best way to go about it, especially if you don't want people to voice their opinions back at you, which he clearly didn't. But either way, that's the situation up until now. This literally just happened yesterday, so God knows if more stuff will happen. But either way, I would love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you did enjoy, please leave a like down below, subscribe if you are new, and until the next one, I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, goodbye.